Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Authors on the Air. I'm your host, James Latwell. And with us today, we have T. Jefferson Parker. He's the three-time Edgar Award winning author, New York Times bestseller. And he's here today to talk to us about The Rescue. It's the paperback release that's coming out. And, this is such a unique book. I'm excited to talk to you about it. But, I mean, for folks that haven't picked up a Parker book, you've got to do this. I mean, three-time Edgar Award winner. I mean, that's in the same rarefied air as James Lee Burke and Anthony Boucher, the namesake of Boucher Khan. So, that's pretty good stuff there, Jeff. I mean, good Lord. So could you tell folks a little bit about the story behind The Rescue?
Well, yeah, sure. It's kind of fun to talk about. I was searching around. I'd finished a book and I'd finished 1,000 Steps, and I needed to think of another book. And just kind of going about my life, making notes and looking around at things and trying to stub my toe on an idea, And coincidentally, my wife and I adopted during that time, just a few years ago, a rescue dog from our little Fallbrook animal shelter. And the dog was actually a Tijuana born and bred dog, and we have videos of him at age 6 months being picked up from literally a dirt road in Tijuana, and he was a skinny little 6-month-old dog, all American, kind of terrier Chihuahua mix maybe. Fleas and ticks and skinny and trembling and just a miserable little dog. I don't know how much longer he'd have made it, but they brought him back to Fallbrook and fixed him up and got him healthy and good looking. And so when we walked in, we sort of fell in love with him, and he fell in love with us, and we brought him home, and he's been our little pet dog for years, and he's a very high-strung, kind of neurotic little dog. He barks at everything, and he goes from window to window around the house, screaming at the Amazon delivery people, the neighbors, anybody he can find. So anyway, that's Jasper. And shortly after we brought him home, I started thinking, what did he do in Tijuana for 6 months? How did he stay alive? And I started to wonder about what he might have, gone through. And I had not clue one. I'll never know what he went through in 6 months in Tijuana. And I got to thinking, wow, couldn't this dog really have sort of an interesting past? I mean, there are so many street dogs in Tijuana, and there's so much, so many people and so many things going on, and cars and crime and everything. What could this little dog have done? And so, the writer's imagination, as kicks in, and you see the encampment on the Sacramento or whatever, and homeless, and you go, oh yeah, there's a novel in this for sure, And I thought, there's a novel in this dog somewhere, and so I put it allowed myself to imagine that this little dog growing up on the streets of Tijuana, and of course the thriller writer in me has to involve crime and danger and all that kind of thing, and so when this young reporter adopts the dog in the story, opening scene, she adopts this dog in Tijuana and drives him home to Laguna Beach, where she lives. And she very quickly starts to understand and find out that this dog has a very mysterious and probably violent past in his Tijuana days. And the story kind of takes off from there.
Yeah. Now, I knew that when, Bettina Blazak, goes down, finds the street dog, and there's an immediate connection there in an animal shelter in Tijuana. But I didn't know that Jasper's origins were from a shelter down there. I knew he was an adopted dog, but I didn't know his origins were there. Did you ever go down to the shelters and look around, or you just kind of use those background videos to kind of fuel your imagination?
Yeah, I did go down and look around at animal shelters, and I've been going down to Tijuana as a tourist and just a goofy kid ever since I was a teenager, 50 years ago. And so anyway, I've been to Tijuana a lot, and I live not far from the border right now, so I've been down there. I can go down anytime I want, really. And Tijuana is such a it's such a hustle bustle, loud, kind of on the make town, and Mexico as a country has a special passion for and problem with adopting dogs and then letting them go. There are street dogs all over Mexico. They're at the resorts, the beaches, the nice places. They're in TJ. They're everywhere. And there's so many street dogs in Mexico. So many stories out there, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. And it was just really kind of neat to go back to TJ and spend some time there and remember the very, very interesting weeks that I spent in Sinaloa, the Copper Canyon, Mexico City, Culiacan, Cabo San Lucas, Baja, been down to Baja, the tip fishing for decades. And anyway, bring up all that stuff and write another tale that is set a lot in Mexico. It's mainly in San Diego and a little bit of Laguna in this book, but there's plenty of Sinaloa, the Sierra Madre Mountains.
Yeah, now Bettina's a great character because she's hiding a lot of secrets and baggage that happened in her past, and she hasn't quite dealt with some of those things, and in her relationships, that not only with the dog, either Felix or Joe, depending on where we are in the story. She's able to kind of have some relationships with that dog and express some things that she hasn't otherwise. So what is it about animals and that animal human bond that is so powerful?
I don't know, but you know it when you feel it, and I have it, and you probably have it, and
I do.
A lot of people do, and there's just something about something between a human and a dog that's wonderful. And the thing that I like about Bettina in the book, and the thing that I do to my dog, that I got into the book. I've had dogs my whole life, not just Jasper, but all of them. And is I talk to him. I talk to him, and when I'm alone around the house, I'm not going to bother my wife. I'll talk to the dog, and then I'll answer for the dog, and then they ask him the question, and then I'll answer for him, and I'll do little accents that mean that he's talking. And Bettina does that, of course, and it's a great, for an author, it's a great way to spill all the kind of nuts and bolts of the biography, like my editor said after the first scene where they're in the car stuck in the traffic in Tijuana trying to get to the States, and Bettina is literally just unloading on this dog, telling this new dog, she doesn't even know everything about her, more than the dog, even way more than the dog understands. My editor, little clip on the paper, sort of an information dump, isn't it? It is, but it's a handy information dump, and you can just picture this gal, this young woman, confiding in this dog who doesn't understand one word that she's saying. I kind of dig that.
Yeah, no, I mean the story. Like, I don't want to give too much away, but I mean, like you said, as a thriller writer, there's cartel influences, and there's Felix, the dog's past, related to that, and that all comes swirling around. But one of the things that I really liked about The Rescue, and I think other folks that I've talked to about the book have also kind of glommed onto, is there are several scenes in the book written from that dog's point of view. Now that's pretty risky, I think, as an author. I mean, there's The Art of Racing in the Rain that managed that, and then there's Bob Craze in The Suspect, who his dog Maggie did that. I mean, what was your thought process, and how did you manage to do that? Because I mean, you pulled it off really well, and those scenes are just a joy to read.
Well, that's great to hear, because the hardest part of writing The Rescue was trying to write about that dog in a way that was revealing of the dog, but not just making the dog kind of a human being with fur, and I spent a lot of time on those scenes trying to get that right, and trying to find a way to express a dog's feelings and reactions, emotions in English. It's hard because dogs don't think in English, I don't think they do.
I hope they don't.
And I don't know if words run even through their minds. I kind of doubt it. I don't think they think in terms of words, sounds, but not words. So anyway, I was just really careful, and I was really kind of nervous about doing that because I didn't want to make it just a corny dog who has a voice in a novel, and he's cute and all that stuff. I really kind of wanted to get to get to the strip down what the inner dog is like, without overdoing it. You can just you can overthink stuff like that, as a writer, and you can try to really get in there, but you got to know sort of, I tried to keep things simple and kind of blunt, and doggish. But I was stuck with English too, so anyway.
Yeah.
It was
No,
fun.
I think it was fun to read. I mean, it gave that animal character a personality,
Yeah,
and
good.
it's yeah, it was just a blast to kind of get into that, because I mean, you have Bettina and what's going on with her, then you've got the dog, but there's also another character that kind of factors in here, and that's Dan Strickland, who, I mean, I'm not giving too much away, but everyone wants this dog, and Dan comes into it with his intent, but he kind of morphs and changes over time once he gets to know Bettina, and again, he's another person that she can kind of just unload on, with what's been going on in her life. I mean, how did you kind of create that dynamic in the book?
Well, that was pretty easy, Jim. That's just kind of two people falling in love, and it starts in the first scene that they're together, and it builds slowly throughout the course of the book, and it's romance and love, for me anyway, are one of the two of the most interesting, compelling things to write about. I love writing about people falling in love or out of love, even. I like that. So Dan Strickland in the book is, he's very admirable. He's handsome. He's well spoken. He's polite. He's bright. He's smart. He has a sort of a superhero job. He runs a private security school in San Diego, in an old building, and he trains executives and celebrities and anybody who wants to be capable defendants of themselves. So he teaches martial arts, and he teaches marksmanship with handguns, and he teaches everything, from wrestling to jujitsu to how to run away. He's a stud. He's a stand-up guy, and Bettina just can't do anything but fall for him, and he's real good with the dog, which he, sort of thinks, is actually his dog. And she says, no, it's my dog. And they kind of fight over this dog a little bit. But during the course, they kind of fall for each other. So it's fun to write that. And the cool thing about Dan in the book, I think, is that, like you said, he kind of starts off on A and he ends up at Z. He changes it during the course of the book pretty profoundly, and it doesn't get him much, but he does, and I like that. I like that kind of character building where the characters change over the course of a novel. It's really kind of fun to to follow them around and track after them and see what they're going to do.
Yeah. No, it's very true. Now, on a kind of a side note, when the hardcover came out for The Rescue, you were on tour, and one of those stops was BoucherCon in San Diego, I think, and you had Jasper with you.
Yeah.
And my God, the lines to see. I'm saying they were here to see you, but I saw a lot of attention, going to Jasper there. That was amazing to see that kind of attention, and just want to make that connection with Jasper. Are you going to bring him out on a little paperback tour with you?
I don't know, Jim. I don't know what we really have planned for that yet. Probably not. He did do a lot of follow-ups. He did not just the BoucherCon San Diego.
Yeah.
He just did a big library event up in Pasadena recently, and he's done a bunch of things in between. And sort of just between you and me and our audience, I guess, Jasper's really nervous at those things. He doesn't really like it. He tolerates it. And Rita, my wife, sits next to me, and she has a little ink pad, and she puts his paw in the ink pad, and we push his pawtograph onto the page that I've just signed for the reader. And Jasper can put up with, I don't know, 20 or 30 of those maybe, and a lot of people giving him, affection, and oh, he's so cute, can I touch him, and all that stuff. Like, well, he doesn't really like to be touched. But after 20 or 30, he's had enough, and he wants to go home. So I don't know if he's going to tour with me anymore. He keeps saying he's not gonna. I don't know.
Yeah, he's become a diva. What can you say?
Yeah,
But
he's a diva.
yeah, just the. I mean, it was such a sight to see. It was so fun. So what's coming up next for you, Jeff?
Oh man, you know, I just I'm finishing a book for later this year. It's called Wild Instinct, and
Mm,
it's kind of an old-fashioned whodunit about a police detective working a murder.
nice.
And the murder in question is a very well-known sort of celebrity Southern California um, real estate developer, young
Mm,
guy, handsome, um, kind of a kind of an eccentric, found dead in the mountains behind Laguna Beach on property that he owns, and was planning to build into a master planned, beautiful city. And somebody kills him out there, and the story opens, and it's a mystery.
yeah.
It's a who done it about who did, and the detective, one of the main detectives, is a half Ahashime Indian, and the Ahashime Indians are the ones who are commonly called Juaneños. They're the ones associated with San Juan Capistrano. So I
Okay.
have history of the mission and the Spanish in the book that goes back, these flashbacks and this old manuscript and stuff that talks about the Ahashime, and the detective is half that. So it ends. The book's kind of about the vanishing wilderness, wild instincts, and
Mm,
what happened to the people and the animals in Orange County, California, from 1880 on.
yeah, that sounds fun. I'm
It's
looking
cool.
forward to that.
It's a good story. Yeah.
We'll finish up with something we call three quick hits. I think
Oh,
you've played it before, and that's just three quick questions. Let's put you in Bettina's mindset, and what's Bettina's favorite cocktail? What does she like to drink?
oh, she's a bourbon drinker. Yeah, yeah. She has her bourbon. She travels with her bourbon, and she's got a soft spot for it. She's under control though. She doesn't drink. She doesn't drink a lot, but she drinks bourbon.
Okay,
It gives her courage.
gives her courage. How about her music? What does she like to listen to?
Oh, she's definitely a country gal.
Hmm.
Definitely country. The big booming voices. Bonnie Raitt and Lucinda Williams and stuff like that would be Bettina's Bettina's way to go. She would definitely like the cowboy song from Beyonce.
I got it. And then finally, what's Bettina's greatest fear?
Greatest fear, gosh. Well, you know, she she takes on fear because she enjoys being afraid, and
Mm,
but it doesn't mean she doesn't feel the fear. I'd say the biggest fear for her, Bettina, is to take off on a big wave at Rock Pile, which is a really gnarly break in Laguna Beach that I've been to more than once, and that's her fear. That's her fear, and I think it was her fear, Bettina's fear in the rescue, that helped inspire my next book, which was Desperation Reef, which is about a
yeah.
family of big wave surfers. I mean, big wave surfers, professionals. And anyway, I think Bettina kind of bled over into that book a little bit.
I was wondering about that because when we read Desperation Reef, there's this kind of a thread that kind of moves between the two, and it's like, oh, okay, I can see that.
Yep, you're right.
So, folks, we've been talking with T. Jefferson Parker for the Rescue. It's a paperback release. You're going to want to grab this. It's a lot of fun, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So, Jeff, thanks for spending some time with us on Authors on the Air.
No, you're welcome. Thank you, Jim.
You betcha. Take care.
You too.